Welcome back to the channel, everyone. We have a situation developing in the Windy City that could change the trajectory of the entire franchise for the next decade. There is a massive storm brewing regarding the Chicago Bears' defensive front, and the decisions made in the coming months will either lead to a Super Bowl run or another decade of mediocrity. But before we dive into the heart of this shocking report, I need to ask you for a quick favor. Please leave a like on this video. Subscribe to the channel for the most explosive Bears news, and most importantly, comment below and let me know which city you are watching from. We want to see how far the monsters of the Midway fan base reaches. Now, let's talk about the absolute crisis at the edge rusher position. The Chicago Bears are heading into the 2026 offseason facing a very familiar, very unresolved, and frankly, very terrifying problem. They still cannot get to the quarterback consistently. Despite the massive acquisition of Montez Sweat, who has been an absolute warrior for this defense, the production from the other side of the line has been non-existent. It is a statistical nightmare. When you look at the 2025 season, the numbers are jarring. The Bears' front four struggled to collapse the pocket whenever Montez Sweat was neutralized by double teams or chipped by tight ends. We saw it time and time again. Without a secondary threat, teams simply erased Sweat from the game plan, leaving the Bears' defense exposed. Let's look at the historical context here. The Bears have always been defined by their pass rush. Think back to the 1985 defense with Richard Dent and Dan Hampton. Think about the early 2000s, or even the Khalil Mack era. When the Bears can't hunt the quarterback, the monsters of the Midway nickname feels more like a fairy tale than a reality. Last offseason, Ryan Poles thought he had found the answer. He went out and signed Dayo Odeyingbo to a massive 3-year, $48 million contract. It was supposed to be the perfect pairing. Odeyingbo had the size, the length, and the upside that the coaching staff craved. And for a moment, it looked like it was working. Odeyingbo started all 8 games he played, logging 369 defensive snaps. He was physical, he was active, and he was starting to find his rhythm. But then disaster struck. In a Week 9 victory over the Cincinnati Bengals, a game that should have been a celebration, Odeyingbo went down with a season-ending Achilles injury. Just like that, the plan evaporated. He finished his first year in Chicago with just 21 tackles and a single sack. 1 sack for $16 million a year. That is a catastrophic return on investment, regardless of the injury. Now, the medical staff is optimistic, but we all know the history of Achilles injuries for defensive ends. It robs them of that explosive first step, that twitch that makes them dangerous. So the Bears find themselves right back where they started. They are desperate. They are hungry. They have a massive hole on the defensive line that needs to be filled if they want to compete with the high-flying offenses of the NFC North. The pressure on GM Ryan Poles is reaching a boiling point. Fans are tired of seeing opposing quarterbacks standing in a clean pocket for 5 seconds. However, as the old saying goes, desperation leads to bad decisions. And that is exactly what Jacob Infante from Windy City Gridiron is warning against. There are names floating around in the rumor mill that sound attractive on the surface, but if you look closer, they are nothing more than expensive traps. We are talking about players like Kwity Paye of the Indianapolis Colts and Boya Mafe of the Seattle Seahawks. These are former high draft picks. They are young. They have the pedigree. But the data suggests that signing them would be the biggest blunder of the Ryan Poles era. Let's break down why this is so dangerous. Kwity Paye will be 27 years old when free agency opens. On paper, he looks like a solid, durable veteran, but his 2025 season was a massive red flag. After an 8-sack campaign in 2024, his production didn't just dip, it fell off a cliff. He finished with only 4 sacks in 2025. Even more concerning, his quarterback hits dropped to a career-low 9 in 16 games. That is not elite production. That is not even average production for a guy who's going to command between $15 and $20 million per season. Can you imagine the outrage in Chicago if the Bears tie up $60 million in a player who only gets 4 sacks? It would be Dayo Odeyingbo all over again, but potentially worse because there isn't even the excuse of a fluke injury to hide behind. It's just a decline in efficiency. This is the storytelling of a franchise at a crossroads. Do you take the risk on potential and youth, or do you finally learn from the mistakes of the past? The Bears cannot afford to miss. With Caleb Williams entering the prime of his rookie contract, every dollar and every roster spot is precious. The defense needs to be a brick wall, not a revolving door for overpaid underperformers. We are seeing the same red flags with Boya Mafe.
He had a career-low 2 sacks last season. 2 sacks! And his snap count dropped from 72% to 51%. When a team like Seattle, who desperately needs defense, is taking a guy off the field, that tells you everything you need to know. The Bears are being urged to stay away, and for good reason. Stay tuned, because in the next part, we are going into the deep financial analysis and the names the Bears should be signing to save this defense.
Now, let's get into the deep dive, the financial chess match, and the tactical breakdown that could save the Chicago Bears' future. We've established the danger of the trap signings like Kwity Paye and Boye Mafe, but why exactly are these deals so toxic for a team in Chicago's position? It comes down to the salary cap and the efficiency versus name value debate. Ryan Poles has been praised for his disciplined approach to the cap, but the Odeyingbo contract was a rare moment where he swung and potentially missed due to injury. If he follows that up by overpaying for Kwity Paye, the Bears will be trapped in cap hell, just as their offensive stars need new contracts. Let's look at the numbers. Paye's fifth-year option paid him over $13 million. In the NFL, agents don't look at declining stats. They look at the baseline of the previous contract. Paye's camp will likely be looking for a 4-year deal worth $80 million, with at least $45 million guaranteed. For a guy who had 4 sacks last year, that is insanity. That is the kind of contract that gets general managers fired. Let's compare that to the elite production the Bears actually need. If you are going to spend $20 million a year, you need a closer. You need a player who wins one-on-one matchups on third down. Neither Paye nor Mafe has shown the ability to do that consistently. Mafe, in particular, saw his impact vanish in 2025. When you play 51% of the snaps and only record 2 sacks, you aren't an elite starter. You are a rotational piece. But on the open market, Mafe will be marketed as a young ascending talent to trick a desperate team into overpaying. The Bears cannot be that team. So if not Paye and not Mafe, who should the Bears target? This is where the analysis gets interesting. Jacob Infante and other insiders are pointing towards veteran, proven commodities. Names like Trey Hendrickson, Jalen Phillips, and, hold your breath, Bears fans, a potential return of Khalil Mack. Think about the irony of that. Bringing Mack back to the place where he was a dominant force could be the ultimate full-circle moment for this franchise. Mack, even at his age, has shown a higher floor of production than Paye or Mafe has shown at their peak. Then you have Trey Hendrickson. This is a guy who lives in the backfield. He is the definition of a high-motor, high-efficiency rusher. If the Bears are going to break the bank, it has to be for someone who demands a double team. If you put Hendrickson on one side and Montez Sweat on the other, you aren't just improving the pass rush, you are transforming the entire secondary. Suddenly, Jalen Johnson and the Bears' defensive backs don't have to cover for 6 seconds. They only have to cover for 3. That is how you win a division. That is how you beat the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers. Let's look at the tactical implications. Defensive coordinator Eric Washington's scheme relies heavily on the front 4 creating pressure without having to blitz. When the Bears have to blitz to get home, they leave their young linebackers and safeties vulnerable. We saw this late in the 2025 season where the Bears' defense, which looked elite early on, began to crumble against top-tier quarterbacks like Jordan Love. If you can't get home with 4, you are playing a losing game in the modern NFL. The rumors in NFL circles suggest that Ryan Poles is well aware of these warnings. There is talk that the Bears might even look towards the draft again, but with a win-now window opening, can they really afford to wait for a rookie to develop? Probably not. The fans on Reddit and Twitter are divided. Some want the young, high-ceiling guys like Mafe, believing a change of scenery and a new scheme under Eberflus could unlock their potential. But the majority of the blue and orange faithful are terrified of another expensive bust. They remember the names of the past who came to Chicago for a paycheck and disappeared on the field. The consensus is clear. The Bears need a sure thing. Financial flexibility is the name of the game in 2026. With the cap expected to rise, the Bears will have money, but they must spend it on force multipliers. Kwity Paye is a cog in the machine. Trey Hendrickson is a force multiplier. The difference between those two designations is the difference between a playoff exit and a deep January run. In conclusion, the Chicago Bears are at a massive crossroads. The decision to pass on Kwity Paye and Boye Mafe might be the most important non-move of the offseason. By avoiding the allure of youth and focusing on proven, high-impact production, Ryan Poles can finally build the wall that Chicago has been waiting for.
This defense is one piece away, just one. But if that piece is a $20 million anchor, the whole ship will sink. What do you think, Bears fans? Are you team sign a veteran, or do you think Kwity Paye deserves a chance in Chicago? Is the risk of his declining stats too much to handle? Let me know in the comments. Make sure you like this video if you want to see the Bears back in the Super Bowl, and don't forget to subscribe for all the latest breaking news and deep dive analysis. We are your #1 source for everything Chicago Bears. Bear down.